Good evening. I call the August 1st, today's August 1st, meeting of the Johnson City Board of Commissioners to order this evening. Before I introduce our pastor for our invocation tonight, the city lost a very beloved person who worked with us. She actually worked back in the booth for how many years, Mr. Peterson? Carrie, about 30 years.
The majority of her life.
Yeah. Yes. Today's her birthday. Her funeral was last Sunday. Today's her birthday. She would have only been 56 years of age, so far too young. And if we could just have a moment of silence. Thank you. We miss you, Carrie. And now I'd like to introduce Pastor Jason Royston from Boones Creek Baptist Church. If you would all rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
Well, I just want to say I'm thankful to be here tonight, and I'm thankful for our commission, and I'm thankful that you lead with integrity, and I'm blessed to be a part of this city and blessed to be a part of this town, and there's something dear to my heart tonight. I know many of you take part in government and share in politics, and there's a heartbeat bill coming up, and it's called I Stand for Life. There's an initiative called IStandForLife.org, and it's about the heartbeat bill that'll come up soon in our state legislature. But I'm grateful tonight. My birthday is in 13 days, and the first reason that I have a birthday is because my mom let me live, and I'm grateful for that. And I want to pray tonight for that young lady's family and for all those surrounding. Thank you tonight for being here. Let's pray. Father, tonight we are grateful, humbled, God, to be in this place. God, thank you for everybody in this place. I thank you for this commission and God for the leaders of our government. God, I pray tonight that, as in your word, Micah 6:8 says that we're to do justly, to walk humbly, and love mercy. God, I pray that we would always perform our job in a just manner. God, that you would be pleased with our life. God, thank you tonight for this commission, and God, thank you for every person that will be represented here tonight. I pray for this family that has been mentioned, this young lady. I pray that your hand of grace be on their life, and God, that they would understand what it is to be loved by the Father tonight. Grateful for the love that we have through the cross of Jesus. Thankful, God, that you allowed us to stand in grace tonight. God, we're so thankful for our country where we're free to worship. And God, we're grateful tonight for this town, for you working in this place. And God, we pray your hand of guidance here tonight. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Mr. Peterson.
Your first order of business is consideration of the minutes from your meeting held on Thursday, July the 18th.
Commissioners,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Ms. Jennings.
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
At this time, we'd like to ask Jenna Hutchins, and if she would like her family to come forward and receive a proclamation to be presented for being recognized as the Gatorade Tennessee Girls Track and Field Player of the Year.
Here. I tell you, this is such an exciting thing for me on behalf of the commission to read to you tonight and to acknowledge your accomplishments at such a young age. Jenna, you are a sophomore, is that correct? An upcoming sophomore, right? And you have just done so much already in the name of athletics, but also, I understand, as a great academic student. Great leader, and that's what we look for in young people today. So to your parents, congratulations. I know you'll have to be proud of this young lady. And when you hear some of the stuff I'm going to read that she's accomplished already in her young life, I think you're going to be equally impressed as I am. I see the fire department sitting back there. Y'all can't keep up with her, promise you. Mayor proclamation, whereas Science Hill High School rising sophomore Jenna Hutchins has been named Gatorade Tennessee Girls Track and Field Player of the Year, and whereas she received the honor after capping off a phenomenal freshman season, earning an individual state championship in cross country and state championships in the 800-meter and 1,600-meter track competition. And whereas she currently holds the state record in the mile with a time of 4:43:33. I'm seeing the look on their faces back here now. Ranking her 9th in the nation among prep competitors at the time of her selection. And whereas Hutchins is the 4th Science Hill topper to receive this award, and whereas this award recognizes both outstanding athletic excellence and high standards of academic achievement and exemplary character demonstrated on and off the track, and distinguishes Hutchins as the Tennessee's best high school girl track and field athlete. Now therefore I, Jenny L. Brock, Mayor of the City of Johnson City, do hereby congratulate Jenna Hutchins on a remarkable season during which she successfully and admirably represented our area. You make us look good, I'm telling you, on the athletic and academic stage. We are proud of you. Thank you very much. Now, I told you I was going to ask you to say something, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you was, can you break the 4-minute mile? Go ahead.
I think that would be a long way off. Probably not that, but thank you for just letting me be able to come out tonight. And it's an honor to be able to represent Johnson City and just to be able to run. And my goals for the future, hopefully, just to be able to keep improving and keep representing Johnson City.
Very good, thank you. Parents, would y'all like to say something?
Well, we just appreciate all the support that Johnson City has given, not only Johnson City, but Science Hill High School. And we're really lucky to live in a community that recognizes not only athletes, but good kids as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you, that's very nice to say. Commissioners, anybody want to have it out? Do you see this young lady in your
Hoping I
office?
never see her, which means she stays in good shape. So just keep up the good work.
That's right.
great. So-
Well, we'll keep our eyes on you. We know you'll be out running very fast in front of us, so thank you very much. I want to personally invite you to run the turkey trot this year, and we'll put you right in the front of the line, okay? Very good. Thank y'all so much.
Appreciate it.
At this time, if I could ask Chief Stables and representatives from the Fire Bureau to come forward.
He's just going to go to the podium and
Okay,
speak to us.
okay. Chiefs, welcome.
How are y'all tonight?
Great.
Excellent.
Glad you're here.
So, I'm really excited. I get to stand before you and talk about an award that the City of Johnson City won from the TML called the Excellence in Fire Service Award. What an honor that we have to receive this award. We were recognized as one of the best in the state of Tennessee, which is a pretty big deal. And the way we came about being in this position is Steve Cross, who is a representative with UTM TAS, has worked with us on some projects. And he came in here and got to see the inner workings of the fire department and got to see folks at work and in action. And he felt compelled to nominate us for this award. And he tours around the entire state of Tennessee consulting with fire departments from east to west, north to south. And he's really impressed with where we're going and what we're doing. And part of that is, this isn't a Jim Stables Award, this isn't a Johnson City Fire Department Award necessarily, it's a City of Johnson City Award. And that's why I wanted to be able to come here and present this award to you all on behalf of the fire department for the city. Also, we're going to be issuing some certificates of appreciation for you for the support that you all have given in us pursuing excellence. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the folks that are actually out there responding every day. And I came here a little under 2 years ago, and I stepped into a really good department that's doing really great things. And it's because of the folks that work here and the surrounding cast. So I say all that to say I'm honored to be here. Wanted to make sure that we recognize you folks for the sacrifices and the commitments that you make to make sure that we can do that. So I'm going to ask Chief Powell and Chief Harrison to distribute the certificates of appreciation. On the back of the certificate of appreciation, if you were to pull it out of the holder, the actual article that was in the TML newspaper is on the back of that certificate. So it'll keep you knowing what that's all about. And this snapshot in time, we're in a really good place. And come up here and present this to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
And we can display that proudly up front.
And it says Tennessee Municipal League Municipal Achievement Award, Excellence in Fire Service, presented to the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, June 25th, 2019. So thank you all so much for going down to pick this up and to bring honor back to Johnson City.
Absolutely. The honor never left. The honor's always been here. So, you all have a great foundation here, and we're in a really good place. You asked me to give a little update on the department, so I'm prepared to do that. We just received another award from Tennessee Fire Service and Codes Enforcement Academy, being recognized in the top 1% of the fire departments in the state of Tennessee for their training hours. So we're not just a one-dimensional award here. We're getting awards on every front. That has a lot to do with the sacrifice and commitment of each and every one of these men and women on the fire department that put forth that effort and attend the training and terminate in certifications and continuing education units. The other thing that we've been pursuing is professional designation, and that's a pretty big deal. So for those of you sitting on the commission that are in professional fields, you know how the professional designation process works, because you're challenged not to sit back on your laurels. Once you achieve, you must constantly strive for excellence. When I first got here, we didn't have a lot of accomplishment there. Right now, we have 6 members of our fire department that are professionally designated at an international level as either fire officers or chief fire officers, and that's a huge deal. We're making a mark. I just came back from a fire chiefs conference in Murfreesboro, and it was the Southeast Association of Fire Chiefs Conference, and people from other states are looking at what we're doing. So I couldn't be more proud of our folks for the cutting/bleeding edge of some things that we do. And the sacrifice that our folks are making to get these designations, getting it the first time is not the big thing. Keeping it up is the big thing. And you have to put a large amount of professional development in front of you to make sure that you do. And you're held accountable to that. So it's unlike achieving a certification and then getting that certification, checking it off your list and moving on. It's something that you have to maintain on a continuous basis. We're in the midst of a refurbishment process on a 1928 Seagrave, and I know that this is a near and dear to the mayor's heart. She's worked really hard on getting us to a better place with that. I'm proud to say that our folks have stripped it down. It's gone to fleet services. It was stripped down further, and it's at the paint shop now. And as of this morning, I picked the color that's consistent with the era of the truck and the paint that was available at the time. So it will be painted, and it should be ready to roll in our Christmas parade. So I'm really excited about that. And there's some really good things. And once again, I want to make sure that, this isn't just the fire department. Fleet Services is working on this. Members of your commission are working on this. And the citizens of Johnson City have been so generous in working on the fundraising side of this, so we're not having to spend large amounts of taxpayer dollars to refurbish this truck. So for that, I'm really honored, because that shows the buy-in from the community. We're moving forward with our accreditation efforts. There's a 3-prong approach to that. We're working on a strategic plan, something called a standard of cover and a risk analysis, and a self-assessment manual. And those three things come together to make us eligible to go to the congressional hearing and get beat up a little bit and ask us questions and make sure that we are striving for excellence. The way we're looking now is we should be done with that process by January 31st of 2020. We will be applying for that accreditation visit, and I'll be inviting the city manager along with some of the accreditation folks from the department to travel to Phoenix, Arizona for the hearing, and it'll be broadcast and those types of things. If any of you all can make it, it will make it all the more important. In the future, I'll be approaching you to codify our strategic plan and some of the things that we're doing, because that's part of the process that we'll have. So you all get to see where it's going and what it's doing. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes because there's a whole lot of work to be done. And I had this conversation with my deputy chief yesterday. A lot of times as a fire chief, you have to go out and prod and poke and get people moving. I haven't had that since I've gotten here. Everywhere I look, our folks are looking for opportunities to serve and looking for opportunities to do things. And yesterday, I caught them all doing really good things. We have folks sitting in class up in Station 3 learning how to be fire inspectors. We have folks doing rope rescue training. And then we had folks in the afternoon out doing hose training and nozzle training. So perfecting their craft without prompting proves to me that they take this job and career field seriously. So for that, I want to send out the best praise I can for the folks that work for the fire department. And thank you again for bringing me here. Mr. Peterson, my 2 years here have been blessed, and I hope to have a long run here. I'm surrounded by greatness, and I really appreciate that. So I'll field any questions if you have any, and thank you for indulging me and allowing me to share.
Comments, questions? Okay. Well, we thank you, and to all the firefighters who are in here. This didn't come because you were taking it easy. So thank y'all so much for all your hard work and what you've done. And I do believe, too, maybe we should say this, that in the Wounded Warriors softball tournament, the fire department won that. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
No. Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
lost.
She's really sorry for dredging up that unfortunate memory.
You know what? I wouldn't have wanted to lose to a better team, though. And honestly, that was a humbling experience. So, but thank you for that.
Thank you. It was fun to watch you guys. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor, your next order of business is consideration of a temporary occasion license for the Atlantic Ale House. Serve beer at the Gearing Up for America's Night Race event on August the 13th, 2019. This will be held in Founders Park. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors. The recommendation is for approval.
Commissioners,
Move for approval?
is there a second?
Second.
Any other comments or questions? Before we vote, I guess I should ask you to state your name and address, please. I'm sorry.
Jacob Grieve, 218 West Holston Avenue.
Then I'll give you a chance to speak in just a minute. Then, Ms. Jennings.
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes. Now, you want to talk about the event?
This is going to be a kickoff event for the Bristol Night Race on Saturday, so there's going to be lots of things going on. I believe they'll have a NASCAR simulator as well as a famous NASCAR driver to sign autographs.
Okay.
So should be an exciting night.
And it will expand out into the park there a little bit?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Your next order of business is consideration of a temporary occasion license for Northeast Tennessee Regional Foundation to serve beer at the Meet the Mountains Festival on August 23, 24. This, too, will be held in Founders Park. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors, and the recommendation is for your approval.
I will have you state your name and address first.
Sure. Kayla Carter, 4116 Old State Route 34, Limestone, Tennessee.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Move for approval?
A second. And a second. Any further questions or comments? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes. So you want to tell us about the event?
Yeah, I'm really excited to have our second annual Meet the Mountains Festival in Founders Park. We're looking forward to bringing the region together through celebrating our outdoor recreation assets throughout the whole region and promoting healthy, active lifestyles. So the beer component really helps us. This is a fundraiser for us to be able to put money back into the community and invest in outdoor recreation assets in the future. So thank you very much.
Ms. Carter, I forgot to ask you, have you read the rules and regulations for serving alcohol in the city of Johnson City?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you agree to abide by those?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, thank you. Do you have any new events coming in this year for the Meet the Mountains?
Well, we've really tried to focus more on partnering with offsite events, so bringing in Bays Mountain, Sugar Hollow in Bristol, some things in Irwin and Elizabethton, trying to connect in with those. And then we'll have a zip line this year, so that's new.
Where will that be?
It'll be in the park. So we couldn't get the ropes course back this year, but we thought it would be a good consolation prize to have a zip line instead.
From where to where?
Well, they'll have like a platform that they'll put up, and so you'll
How
just go
high?
from platform
I
to
mean,
platform.
I'm trying to decide whether I
I
want to
think-
do it or not, yeah.
It's a few feet up in the air, but it'll span about 200 feet wide, so you'll go 200 feet on a
A
zip
few
line.
feet, like 20 feet?
Like I think it's about 30. I'll get back to you on that.
think he's thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I'm giving it some
yeah.
serious thought, yeah.
The
And
top
then-
of the Hamilton Bank building.
See, that's what I was
King
afraid. I was like,
Commons.
I'm
It'll be a
out,
great
I'm
ride.
out.
You'll enjoy
Okay.
it.
There is a really
Do
cool zip
off
line
Tannery
in
Knobs.
there's a really cool zip line in Elizabethton off 19E too, if that's your thing,
Well, we may have to have a
commissioner-wise.
commission challenge here then.
It's a good team building, yeah.
Have Dr. Fowler at the end. That's right. I'll go down first, so when you come, I'll take care of you. All right.
So how many are you anticipating will participate in the festival this year?
Last year we estimated 7,000, so we're hoping to do the same, if not more. So that's our goal.
Very good.
Yeah.
So economic driver in our community over the weekend?
Yeah, I'm really hoping so. We're hoping people will, hang out in town, spend some money, find some awesome things they love to go out and do. We're hoping to pull some more people from outside of the area this year. Last year we were focusing really heavily on bringing local folks out, but this year we've targeted, Asheville and Knoxville and some other places to draw people from. So, yeah,
Thanks a lot.
yeah. Thank you all.
We'll be there.
Next order of business is consideration of a temporary occasion license for Startup Tri-Cities to serve beer at the Founders After 5 event on September 13th. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors, and the recommendation is for your approval.
Would you state your name and address, please?
Edwin Williams, 404 South Roan Street.
Okay. And did we get the date corrected on
Yes,
this now?
September
Yes.
13th.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Commissioners,
To approve.
there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
And I must ask you too, have you read the rules and regulations on serving alcohol in the city of Johnson City?
Yes, I have.
And do you agree to abide by those?
I do.
Very good, thank you. Do you want to tell us about this particular Founders After 5?
So yes, this Startup Tri-Cities, we are a nonprofit organization helping people start tech startups in the region. And we're using this event as a fundraiser for our organization. As you may know, Founders After 5 is an event where people go to Founders Park and listen to live music, and different nonprofits come in to serve them beer. So we are hoping to help keep the mood going and help use this as a fundraiser to then further our mission.
So your organization's helping tech companies get started?
Yes, ma'am.
Small businesses?
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Glad to hear that. All right. Come back and report to us in about a year and let us know how it's going.
I would be glad to. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Next is consider a temporary occasion license for Tri-Pride Tennessee to serve beer at a Founders After 5 event on October the 11th. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors. The recommendation is for approval.
All right. If you'd state your name and address, please.
Arnold Atkins, 1602 Kensington Place.
Okay. And have you read the rules and regulations on selling alcohol in the city of Johnson City? And you agree to abide by those? Thank you. Commissioners?
Move for
in wrong
approval.
order. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any other questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. Is there anything, you're doing this at Founders After 5, is there anything you want to talk about, who the group's going to be that week and what you're trying to do?
We've developed a relationship with Annabelle's Curse, so we plan to bring them in on the 11th of October and sell beer in the amphitheater area of the park.
Very good. Any other questions? Well, thank you. Hope to
Thank
see
you.
you down there.
Thank you.
Your next item of business is consider a beer license application for Windsor Speakeasy Incorporated located at 105 Montgomery Street. This is an application for a Class 3 on-premise beer license. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors, and the recommendation is for your approval.
Just since you were up here the last time, and I did not ask you, have you read the rules and regulations about selling alcohol in the city of Johnson City?
I have.
And do
Times.
you agree to
least.
abide by them? Yes.
do.
Okay, it's official on the record if we can go back now.
Twice that.
Right.
Are you still Jacob?
I am.
Okay, you still live on Holston?
218 West Holston.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners,
Move for approval?
Second.
any other discussion? Yeah, that one thing will account for both of them, all right?
Thank you.
Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. Now, you have to tell us about Windsor Speakeasy.
It is a hidden bar that we're going to specialize in craft cocktails.
Hidden bar.
Hidden bar, yes, sir.
Craft tacos?
Craft cocktails.
Oh,
So we'll have craft cocktails, wine, and some beer.
and it's
Any
located-
tacos?
No tacos.
Why do you
but-
keep talking about tacos?
I don't know. We should put some on the menu.
Is it indoor, outdoor, or?
It's just indoor.
And where is it hidden?
105 Montgomery Street.
I know that.
So relative to Skillville, where is it?
Right next door.
Right next door.
So it's the building that looks like you don't want to go in there, but I assure you, you do.
Okay.
Oh, so inside,
Is there a secret knocks?
really, have you been in there?
You have to know somebody to get in? When is it going to open?
We're doing interviews this week, finalizing our interviews and staff, and then we're hoping to open it in August.
Very good. Good. Good
Well,
luck.
good luck.
It is August today.
Yes.
Will you be serving any food?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we
will.
recommend tacos?
We might put some
Craft.
tacos on there just for you.
Craft tacos.
Let us know when you're open.
Do you have anybody who knows anything about food involved in this?
Tough one. I think I may know a good chef though.
Yeah, I bet.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Your next order of business is consideration of a request for a street closure for the Science Hill High School homecoming parade to be held on September the 20th. This is the traditional route around the Liberty Bell campus utilizing Liberty Bell Boulevard. The reviews have been made and the recommendation is for approval.
All right, if you'd state your name and address, please.
George Leo, 412 Brookwood Drive, Bristol, Tennessee.
And you are the assistant principal at Science Hill,
Assistant
aren't you?
principal, yes,
That
ma'am.
has come over. This is your second year?
The third year, starting my third year. yeah.
Really, time flies. It really
I know,
does.
I know.
All right. So I'm guessing you like it over here.
Love it.
That's
Love it.
great.
Good place.
Great. Commissioners,
Move for approval?
Second.
any other comments, questions, please? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun. Yes. Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. You want to give a thumbnail sketch of it?
Yep, sure. We'll be kicking off the event about 5. It'll start, we'll line up, start setting up the upper parking lot at Freedom Hall. We have, it's amazing, I will say this, third year, I'm amazed every time we have this parade. The cars that are in that parking lot blow your mind. I mean, they're just awesome. I take pictures of it, send it to my son. My son went to Sullivan East, so I said, look what we got here at Science Hill, buddy. So
Yeah.
I give him a hard time, but it's a wonderful event. They'll kick off the parade around 6, make it over to CT building, and then homecoming will start right there at 7. Then we kick off football game at 7:30, Jefferson County. So we invite you to come out and see us win. So.
I think you have Wendell Messimer brings his 1948 MGTD up there. It's kind of a tan color. Have you seen that? Really
It's-
nice, yeah.
Beautiful cars.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot.
Y'all ought to come, because I'm going to be there.
All right.
That's right.
Shall we walk in the
there.
parade or zip line down there?
We'll put you right in the parade.
There you
So,
go.
good deal.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you
All right,
guys
good
for
luck to a
everything.
good football
Thank-
season this year, too.
Thank you. Thank you,
bet.
guys.
Commissioners, your next order of business is consideration of the consent agenda.
Commissioners, are there any items you would like to pull? Commissioner Calhoun?
I'm not sure this is a pull for discussion, but just a note on item A1. Since I work for ETSU, I don't need to vote on that particular item.
We will pull that and vote on it separately
Okay.
then. Otherwise, it's a blanket kind of vote.
Nothing else.
Commissioner Hunter?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner
None for me.
Fowler? Vice Mayor?
My questions were answered. Thank you.
Okay, and I have nothing as well. So we will pull A1 for a separate vote. Is there a motion to approve the contract for Johnson City Transit buckshot service to ETSU for 3-year academic years?
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Okay, any questions that need to be answered on that? Okay, Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun,
Staying.
Commissioner Fowler,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. Is there a motion to pass the remainder of the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any other questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. It's quick.
Next order of business is consideration of a resolution to annex certain properties located at 0 Highland Church Road, known as the Brummett Annexation. A resolution to annex a portion of certain property located within the 11th Civil District of Washington County, Tennessee, adjoining the present corporate boundaries of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to incorporate the same within the corporate boundaries of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, said property being known as the Brummett Annexation. To zone said property R2B, low-density residential as described herein, and to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee accordingly, being a part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, is ready for your consideration on first reading. Captain, if you'll explain the
Sir.
matter, please.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. For you is a request to annex 51.43 acres of a 68.02 acre lot adjoining Boone Station Road and Highland Church Road. Annexation is being requested by the property owner, Sam Brummett, and it adjoins the city limits. Fiscal impact analysis has been based off of a 94-lot, single-family subdivision. The total net fund estimate is $493,427. Regarding the plan of services, city water is available to the property. City sewer will be extended by June 30th, 2020. The R2B, the applicants requested R2B low-density residential zoning, which permits single-family development with a minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet. It's compatible with the existing city single-family zoning districts that are currently out there and compatible with the future land use plan.
The difference in R2P and R2 is one's 15,000, the other's 9,000?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And the R2A, I believe, is 12. There's an R2A district here and an R2A here. And then you have the more dense, the RP2 and RP5 here, which allows more density. So it serves as sort of a good transition between the R2A to go R2B and then RP2.
But these are single-family, smaller patio-type homes, did you say that, or just regular?
Well, these are in these RP2 and RP5, but these are going to be standard. What we've seen so far, they intend. We don't have a concept plan or anything, or even a preliminary plan. But we believe them to be traditional single-family. Most of the lot sizes, I believe, that will probably range between 9,000 and 15,000 square feet. Anyways. The Johnson City Regional Planning Commission recommended approval of the annexation request, the plan of services, and the R2B zoning at its July 9th, 2019 meeting.
All right, commissioners,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Second.
Questions of staff before we vote?
Calhoun, any comments?
No comments
All
on
good?
this one. This is all good.
This require public input at second reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. All right, Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes.
The next order of business is consideration of ordinance number 4701-19. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, being part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, entitled "An Ordinance to Adopt a Code of Laws and Ordinances for the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to repeal all laws and ordinances in conflict therewith, and amendatory thereof by assigning a R2B low-density residential zoning to certain property within the 11th Civil District of Washington County, Tennessee, known as Brummett Annexation." Ready for your consideration on first reading.
Move approval. Second.
All right, you explained that well in the original, so any other
But I
comments?
mean, if you had something further you wanted to say.
Staff has nothing further. Subject to any more
Ms. Jennings.
questions.
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes.
The next item is adoption or consideration of the plan of services for the Brummett annexation. Will?
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
No. Yeah, move
Is there a second? All right. Any other questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. Thank you.
Next item for consideration is ordinance number 4703-19. An ordinance authorizing the conveyance to RNG Ventures certain parcel of real property, an easement owned by the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, and located in Washington County, Tennessee, upon the terms and conditions contained herein, and repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, is ready for your consideration on first reading. This is the easement that we discussed Monday night in our agenda review. The developers of the mill property need this easement in order to get parking put in. The easement allows us to maintain all of our utilities and to do any future work on those utilities that may be deemed necessary. The recipient of the easement will be responsible for relocating the State of Franklin Trail from its present location to immediately behind the back of the curb. And we'd be glad to answer any other questions you may have.
The agreement we have with them will specify that very
Does.
clearly.
Yes.
And what that responsibility is, including landscaping and things of that nature.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of ordinance number 4698-19. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, being part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, entitled "An Ordinance to Adopt a Code of Laws and Ordinances for the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to repeal all laws and ordinances in conflict therewith, and amendatory thereof by changing from B4 Planned Arterial Business to R01 High Density Residential Professional Office, certain properties located at 4505 Bristol Highway," is ready for your consideration on second reading after public hearing.
This is a request to rezone 8.04 acres located at 4505 Bristol Highway from B4 to Planned Arterial Business to R01 High Density Residential Professional Office District. The applicant, Appalachian Service Project, has requested the R01 zoning to construct a multi-building training and housing center, which will include facilities for offices, training rooms, housing for volunteers and displaced individuals, a fellowship hall, and gathering centers. The purpose of this matrix really is just to show you that the uses that the Student Activity Center, the emergency temporary shelters are allowed in the R01 zoning and are not in the B4. And it also highlights that the commercial possibilities in the B4 are much more intense than in the R01. And in the R01, you don't have the possibility of light manufacturing and storage yards, which are permitted in the B4 by special exception. Future land use plan calls for commercial development along the Bristol Highway with residential development behind the commercial property. There is a current R01 zoning district that adjoins the property under consideration. Staff believes this to be a good, extending this R01 zone over to here serves as a good transition between the commercial development and the residential development. Concept plan calls for the construction of the volunteer center, training rooms, and interim housing consisting of 5 units. Concept plan meets all requirements of the zoning ordinance. And the Planning Commission recommended its June 11th, 2019 meeting to approve the rezoning request from B4 to R01 and to approve the concept plan.
Did a neighborhood meeting have to take place on this rezoning?
The neighborhood meeting did take place on June 5th.
Okay, and results of that?
All favorable. No one spoke up against it. I think there were a couple people from the, and the developer is here, and he could probably speak to it better than I could, but the feedback that I got from it is that there was a resident from the adjoining county property in the back came and asked a few questions and had no issue with it. There is a significant natural buffer out there right now that masks the, screens the property, and unless Mr. Lewis has anything else, I didn't hear of any issue from the neighborhood meeting.
I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this rezoning? He's going to come up.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Lewis. I live at 4605 Bristol Highway. Been working with the Appalachian Service Project. They're a nonprofit. If you don't know what they do, they're more or less like a Habitat for Humanity. They're all over the Southeast. But I'm just here to answer any questions if you have any. We're doing the site plans for those guys.
I prefer to think of Habitat for Humanity as like Appalachian Service Project.
Very well put.
Yes. We're very well informed on the Appalachian Service Project and have talked about this project, I think, for quite a while, what they're going to be doing. So I think we'll be happy to approve this in just a minute.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? Questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Next is ordinance number 4700-19, an ordinance appropriating additional funds to the various departments and divisions of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, with the additional revenue from local, state, and federal sources, is ready for your consideration on second reading. I would remind you that budget ordinances require public hearing on first reading, so you have that at your last meeting.
Commissioners?
Move for approval. Second.
All right. Any other questions? Mr. Peterson? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Your next item for consideration is ordinance number 4702-19, an ordinance adopting tax rates for the 2019 tax year. As is in your packet, the tax rates for properties inside the city would be set for those properties in Washington County, $1.71, Carter County $1.83, and Sullivan County $1.95. We would recommend your approval.
Okay, and we did talk about, excuse me, the tax equalization process that's going on, which they're about to, I spoke with someone who's on that board this past week, and he indicated that the volume of cases that have been brought before them was very robust. So they still haven't finished completely, maybe in the next 2 weeks perhaps, that will happen. So we may see, this is kind of the period where the certified tax rate and what really winds up, we may see some loss in revenue. Is that correct?
We should know that in, by about next April, the full
Rounding up
impact.
certainly helps.
Yes. And I was doing a calculation for one of the media folks last week. This rounding up on a $100,000 house, I believe, equates to about 85 cents. So this rounding is very insignificant.
I noticed the article in the paper, though, said we raised taxes, you know. Okay.
And we had public hearing on first reading for this ordinance as well.
Right. Okay. Commissioners?
Move for approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler? Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
The next item for consideration is ordinance number 4695-19. An ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, specifically Title 16, Streets and Sidewalks, by adding a new Chapter 5 related to standards for small wireless communication facilities in the public right-of-way and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, is ready for your consideration on third reading. Matt?
Mr. Manager, Commissioners, Madam Mayor, good to see you again this evening. I figure I'll kind of pick up where we left off last time. We've been through this a couple of times. We made some slight revisions after first reading and presented those changes in the version that you have. Also focused in on some slight revisions to the design standards. And so I want to go focus on those this evening. Again, the city's been broken out into 5 districts. Each of those districts has their own set of standards. All of the districts have to have the equipment concealed, and so that applies across the board. For our general commercial, this is the most flexible district. This has the highest height allowance, widest diameter potential, and that aligns with the poles that you find in these areas. So think of state of Franklin. The poles out there, our existing light poles and utility poles, are already larger than we find elsewhere in the city. And so that's why these poles would blend in to that area and basically match what we have out there. As we get into the other 4 districts, we've set the height limit at 25 feet. And so that mirrors our light poles downtown, for instance. They're not going to be, these poles would not be any taller than our existing poles. The diameter that we've set is 6 inches is the maximum diameter. That matches the width of our 25-foot light poles downtown. So that would apply across the general residential, the historic residential, the schools and parks, and the historic commercial. So the diameter is an addition from last time. The maximum height of 25 feet is an addition from previous versions. And otherwise, everything else is as it has been. Staff does recognize this is brand new technology. Johnson City is way out in front on this ordinance. We have several other cities that are requesting our ordinance so that they can model theirs after ours. So we recognize that the newness of all this, we're always looking to tweak our codes in various ways to keep up with the times. And I think that'll be no different with this. We may learn more as we go and may have to come back with some tweaks and changes to make sure that We are accommodating and not being too restrictive. But I think I'm very confident with what we've put before you tonight will serve the community well, and it'll be something that the service providers can work with. And if they have some variations that are outside of the standards we've set in place, we have created an avenue for them to essentially appeal to the Planning Commission if they want to have a diameter that's wider or a height that's higher or a color that's different. They have an avenue to ask for that. But if they meet these design standards, then they can be approved administratively. And that would be that's the incentive there, is that they would have a quicker process by just being approved by staff by meeting the design standards.
From a regulatory standpoint, is there somebody who's going to tell us that's okay if we adopt these standards?
Well, these standards have been developed in consultation with the attorneys at MTAS and our attorneys and folks that are in this business. I feel confident that what we have before you will pass the test of legality. And I guess in direct answer to your question, if we're not in conformance, somebody will tell us, but I feel confident that we're going to be in good standing with
And that's the
legal
rationale
test.
for all the aesthetic piece, because that's the angle that allows us to create any rules to begin with.
Correct, sir. About the only thing we can regulate is aesthetics. We cannot regulate the deployment of 5G or any other type of technology. That's handled by the FCC.
I concur with all those statements.
So other cities that have already had deployment that haven't done this, they're regretting this, correct?
I've heard that, and even some that have adopted ordinances before the state law was set, which kind of guided what we've done here. I think there's maybe some regrets there. They didn't regulate aesthetics as well as they probably should have, and so. I mean, there's a lot of places that just, they don't have them yet, and the cell companies are able to kind of do what's most cost-effective for them, and there's nobody else, holding them to a higher standard. So.
If I understand the technology, the incentive is to deploy these in the densest population areas as possible, right? So it would theoretically be the bigger cities working down to moderates. I mean, you're never going to put this out in a rural area because it doesn't really do.
It wouldn't have the effect of relieving congestion off of the existing major network. And what we're seeing now is for the current 4G LTE technology. That's what these small cells are serving our existing network. The discussion of 5G is that they would have to be deployed in a very similar manner as far as the height and location, but that will be a whole different technology that is not here yet. And so that's another part of when I kind of say that we may learn more and may need to come back and tweak this. When 5G comes, and we're talking about a significant change in technology and something that the city definitely does not want to miss out on, if there's some need to change our existing wireless communications ordinance to be able to accommodate 5G, then that may be another discussion we need to have at that time. But that's currently not here. That is not happening. That's not the request we're getting today.
What happens when 6G comes along and that, it's not small cells, it's
It'll all
medium?
be satellite, hopefully.
Oh, I know.
Invisible poles is what the cell provider told us.
Who is it? Bezos or somebody is in the process now of launching a satellite
Amazon?
internet. Is it Amazon? Somebody, I don't know who it
Bezos
is.
Amazon.
I was reading something the other day, believe it or not, one of my space readings. Somebody is launching a system of about 2,000 satellites that will be utilized to move data across the planet.
Until they smash into each other.
What we need is more space junk, yes.
Okay. I'm just wondering what's ahead of us. That's a big thing.
That's the thing about this technology in this period in the timeline of mankind. technology is moving so fast right now that it's really hard to keep up with and imagine what is the next step. So we just deal with what we can and hope for the best.
Any other questions, Matt? Thank you for becoming the expert on it for the city.
Thank you.
The
Appreciate
small
it.
cell guy.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved. Approved.
Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, that brings us to the public input portion of our agenda.
All right, I will open up the public input. If there's anyone here to address the commission, come forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public input.
And that brings us to the conclusion of the agenda.
Commission meeting. Commissioners, is there anything you particularly want Mr. Peterson to address in his report next time? Do you get that sent to him? If there are any projects or anything updates that you would like?
And the project update will be in your information packet as well. Yes, ma'am.
So this is kind of our committee time. If you have any updates from the committees you serve on behalf of the commission. Commissioner Calhoun?
Planning Commission has been really busy. We have some of our subcommittees that are meeting in the next couple of weeks on projects. And a number of the issues being brought before the Planning Commission has had a lot of public input, a lot of community folks coming in talking about it. So I think we're going to see some of that come forward with a lot of concerns. But I will say that a number of the builders have listened during the Planning Commission meetings and have actually gone back, pulled their request, met, and are meeting more with the community before they come forth again. So I think the process is working quite well.
Thank you for the presentation you brought to us on Monday night on immunizations. That was, I think, very enlightening. Commissioner Hunter?
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the most recent library board meeting, but we all attended today, and I'm sure you'll bring it up, the volunteer appreciation luncheon that we hosted for all the people. And that was great to be a part of that.
Okay.
CVB, we heard a lot about it at our last meeting. Brenda Whitson was talking about the motorcycle things. We approved the downtown things for that. We just got done with the U10 softball. That was a big deal. Lots of restaurants were full last weekend of softball teams and their coaches and things. And they have a lot of people coming to town for a lot of things coming up, which is great. So
There were actually two tournaments, and probably the two of them together, back to back, was over 7,000 people in town.
a lot of people in town.
Yeah.
So
Good news. Hopefully the mall enjoyed that too.
hotels and malls.
Oh, the mall was packed.
Restaurants.
Yeah.
I drove by it several times and
Yeah.
Lots of people.
completely packed.
Great. Vice Mayor?
JCDA met. Things continue to move forward on the closing of the Severe building. Part of another conversation that's been going on is looking to better utilize the downtown parking structure that is used during the day by Northeast State but sits empty at night most of the time because there's not a means of access after Northeast State closes down the stairwell that's interior to the building. And so they have conceptual drawings from the architect to put an external elevator so that the parking structure can add roughly 300 parking spots into the mix for activities outside of Northeast State's hours of operation.
That will be very helpful, for sure. You may have seen Bright Ridge. We had another ribbon cutting last week. We cut the ribbon on our first charging station that we are beginning to install at the Gray Fossil site. And it went very, very well. The Bright Ridge has put two totally electric vehicles in its fleet. And Mr. Peterson, I hope we can consider that as well. from everything we're hearing, the electric vehicle will hit critical mass sooner than a lot of other things. And so Bright Ridge will be on a journey to get the infrastructure in place around our city. I know Jeff will be working with you. I mean, I don't know if we need some kind of ordinance about placement of those charging stations anywhere, because I think there's one at scheduled for Founders Park and one at King Commons that will go. So they do take a bit of space, and they take a parking space as well. But it's kind of exciting to see this happening. And Volkswagen created a whole new line in Chattanooga just to make electric vehicles. These are totally electric, not hybrids. So we have two. If you see a little kind of green car with a plug on the side of it that says Bright Ridge, that's one of them. The second one we're waiting on right now. So there'll be a lot of testing. And as you know, the Washington County Schools received a grant to get a totally electric school bus. So this will be a good way to really kind of cut down on gasoline-powered vehicles in our area, and it's going to come. You know that. As John said, we had the volunteer luncheon today, and we can't thank our volunteers enough for what they do for our city. They do things that would take a lot of man hours if we had to hire all those people. So they have a real commitment to the city, and we appreciate that. And that was a nice luncheon. Pete, if you could think about too, I'd like for us to get back to the Airbnb, the kind of hotel motel tax thing, and give us an idea about how we're going to approach this. Are we going to contact our neighbors in the region and see if everybody wants to kind of approach this from the same standpoint, but maybe come back with a plan on what, when, where, and how. I think that would be good. I did spend some time with the softball people, and there were some who were staying in Airbnbs in our area. So that's another one of those things. I think we're going to probably hit some critical mass on that before we even know it, and we don't even know how many are truly out there. The other thing, if we could get a report on the Tannery Knobs tank project, when that's going to be complete, and then are we going to open back up Chambers Drive? I'm just going to get an update on that.
It's
complete tomorrow?
No, it will not be complete tomorrow. There is a giant, a very large underground valve pit that our folks have had to build, and it's so large we could not get a precast structure to put in the ground, so it's had to be stick built, so to speak. They're working on the top of it, I think, this week to try to get it poured and in place. There's going to be some equipment to put in the vault, and then the old valve facility will have to be torn out. So we're probably another month, 6 weeks before all that work would be completed, and then we'll need to work on getting Chamber Drive open.
Anything else? Anything else you want to share with us?
I'm very excited that I will be receiving Bright Ridge 1 gig service tomorrow after lunch. John Hunter could have been, but he didn't return the call as quickly as I did, so I got that appointment, and I'm just really excited about it. And today marks the 21st anniversary of my convincing Karen to marry me. So I should probably, or not convincing her, we actually at that point, we were married. So the convincing happened a little in advance of that.
We don't want to know about it.
Congratulations.
And Ms. Jennings, we'll look forward to your report next time, hopefully with those revenues up. Looking good?
Brenda Wixon and I actually had a short conversation about Airbnb, so I'm happy to work with her.
Appreciate it.
And state law is going to drive the bus.
Yeah.
That was a very lengthy and direct conversation in Nashville when they passed that legislation.
Okey doke. Well,
Does Rusty have any more suggestions?
in the paper.
Enjoy your anniversary, Vice Mayor.
Meeting adjourned.